Right now, there's still no clarity on the status of the Edenvale tiger, which escaped this week. There were reports that it was sedated. This is the second big cat to escape. Now, Global Animal Welfare Organization for Animals under direct human influence, Four Paws, is calling for an end to the commercial trade of all big cat species from South Africa. They believe this will help tackle the wider issue of the captive big cat industry. Let's discuss this further now. We're joined by Sarah Locke from Four Paws. Sarah, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Now, of course, the commercial trade of big cats, I guess, is what's making it easier for people to be able to own a big cat and just have them in their homes. But what we're finding out from the SPCA is that Gauteng is the most problematic province when it comes to this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're quite right. So the commercial trade and actually the keeping of big cats in this manner as pets is kind of much is part of this much wider, bigger problem of the big cat breeding industry in South Africa. And as you say, that covers not only tigers, as we've seen escape in this most recent incident, but also lions that obviously are native to South Africa and are bred in large numbers across the country. And really, this vicious cycle, as we call it, does bring in a number of different activities, as well as the commercial trade and the keeping of big cats as pets. So it kind of starts when these animals are very young, and it involves this cub petting, use of big cats as photo props, things like that. And then it goes into perhaps the keeping of the animals as pets, then possibly trophy hunting on those bigger farms that are kind of away from the suburbs, obviously. And then also the live international trade and the international trade of big cat parts. So whether that be their bones or skins, whatever. So it's really quite a large industry, and I think that's something that often people miss. But yeah, you're quite right. In Gauteng, this is really something that we're seeing very, very common now, is the keeping of big cats in this manner. I would say sort of since 2021, this is something that we've seen grown. The industry itself, and actually it's only really when these animals escape that a light is sort of shined upon it and people really are interested in it. But what I would say is these are a very small number of incidents that are part of a much wider problem.
And I guess this also speaks to, I don't know how famous this is, but when I was younger, we used to visit the circus quite a lot. And that's where you'd find big cats such as lions and tigers there. And of course, at some point, there were civil society organizations who were against this. And I guess maybe that's what saw the dwindling of these types of entertainment events going on. But Sarah, I want to ask you about, I don't know if you saw the statement from the SPCA raising concern about this private company in Edenvale that said that it caught this tiger, and now that's why we're going with the story that says it's not clear on the status of this tiger. So I guess they're raising concern because this private company was firstly not authorized to do that apparently, but also I guess it also puts the tiger in danger of probably being recaptivated by the wrong people.
Yeah, look, I mean, I can't comment too much on the security company itself, but you're quite right. I mean, if misinformation is getting out there, that the tiger has been caught, that's obviously a real concern, for the tiger, because it means, it might mean that efforts are lessened to capture it. It's obviously at danger while it's kind of out at large, because it does mean that local people might take this into their own hands, or, it's captured by the wrong person. So we would say, we're getting our information as well from the SPCA, and until we get confirmation that that animal has been captured, there is a real cause for concern, obviously for the big cat, and actually for public safety, really. Ultimately, public safety is really at risk if people think that the animal has been caught when actually it hasn't. So we know that the SAPS and SPCA are currently investigating that and trying to locate the animal. But as far as we know, we really haven't got any confirmation that the animal has been caught safely. Obviously, we hope, given that the previous incident that happened earlier on in the month resulted very sadly in the shooting of the animal. Don't forget, this is an endangered non-native species, so really every single individual counts here. So yeah, we're really hoping that these can be caught safely darted by the correct people and taken to a true sanctuary. But really, public safety and the animal safety, welfare for the animals really our main concern.
And that's what I was going to ask you in terms of the fact that it's becoming an endangered species, especially in Africa. We've already had complaints about how the population of the tiger is decreasing on the continent because of also the international trade of this poor animal. But have you spoken to, for instance, the Department of Environmental Affairs, possibly in terms of adding maybe wild cats in general, not just the tiger, wild cats to the list of prohibited species to, commercially trade in our country?
Yeah, absolutely, we have. And just before I clarify that question, just probably to clarify that obviously tigers are non-native to South Africa. So this really is, a national but also an international problem, because these animals aren't found, locally here. They've been brought over and purposely being bred for these commercial purposes. But yeah, you're quite right. I mean, Four Paws, since our inception, over 15 years ago, we've been constantly in communication with the Department for Environment on the commercial trade and the big cats, and the welfare of big cats in South Africa. Traditionally, that has focused on national species. So, for example, lions have obviously been the main focus. We know that South Africa has really built up a large captive lion breeding industry in South Africa. And of late, I would say over the past, 2 years or so, we've really focused our efforts on trying to communicate with the Department for Environment on the issues of commercial trade and, of tigers specifically from South Africa. And we've, written directly to Minister Creasy on this issue and tried to share as much information that we can as possible. South Africa is now the largest exporter of big cats and their pots from anywhere in the world. So this really is a cause for concern. And, we've tried to raise this in a number of forms. Obviously, we tried to raise this through our own advocacy and communications, speaking directly with the Department for Environment, Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. And we've also taken it to CITES COP19 last year in Panama. So that's the Convention of the International Trade of Endangered Species, the Conference of the Parties that took place in Panama last year. And we actually brought this issue to the floor there and discussed it in our own side event, the concern of the commercial trade of tigers and their pots from South Africa. So we really have been discussing this for quite some time now, and it's really sort of gathering momentum, I think, because of the public safety aspect. A lot of it is to do with the public safety aspect. Just, I think people haven't quite seen how close to home this issue really is.